So today we're going to be spending around 90 minutes together to take you through some of the most important systems and procedures in your business so that you can go from chaos to control, to go from absolutely crazy and confused to having calm and flow and organization. I have been running my business for 20 years this year. Can you believe that? And the only way that I have managed to achieve the scale that I've managed to achieve with the size of the team that I have, which by the way is very small considering the size of my business, is because I have systems in place, because there is structure, because I discovered systems and SOPs about 15 plus years ago and realized how powerful they would be in helping me get myself organized. Feeling stressed doesn't mean that the world is about to end. Feeling frozen means that you have no system to follow. Having this kind of sense of inconsistency in your business, the highs, the lows, the income, the no income, simply means you have no SOPs, no standard operating procedures that keep things consistently running and operating like a machine. Stress is purely a symptom of poor systems, and the good thing about this is we can fix it. You can implement systems to remove the stress, to release the overwhelm, to clear the confusion, to unfreeze the frozen, to make consistent the inconsistent, and to speed up your growth. And to do all of those things whilst actually ending up doing less. So stress, therefore, is purely a lack of perceived control. Stress isn't a lack of control, it's a lack of perceived control. And our perception of our control impacts our psychological well-being more than whether we do have control or we don't. When people believe they've got no power for change, they've got no power or self-agency to create change, they give up, they curl up, and they die. Mentally, physically, spiritually, in every way imaginable. So to give you some idea of what this means, one of these assessments was that they put a dog on an electric floor and they would electrocute the dog continuously. I know this is absolutely horrible, but what they did is they left the door wide open and they continued electrocuting the dog, and the dog didn't even leave when the door was wide open because it believed it couldn't get out. How many of you in business are working your butts off and you constantly have this feeling of, I'm just not getting there fast enough? So our belief in our sense of control over things scientifically, biologically, and psychologically impacts our productivity and the results that we get in our lives. Systems equal success and happiness. It's absolutely crazy. Creating simple systems will give you back time and a feeling of perceived control. The sooner you start this process, the simpler your life is going to be from this point forward, because this thing is going to only keep improving and getting better and learning you more and more over time. All right, so the next thing we want to know to get rid of the chaos and get more control is we need to understand that we need to start combining some habits with some simple systems, and together this is what creates success. Will I have to do this again? ? And what this prompt was for, and I do recommend you write this on a post-it note and stick it on your computer screen, is if you ever have to do that thing one more time ever again in your entire life, create a system, a standard operating procedure, aka a set of instructions for doing that task. If it is ever going to be done, and the only way you can hand that task over to somebody else is to create a set of instructions of how you want it done. Nobody likes blank page disease. I'm going to show you how to get past that. Get some really good SOPs in place that all you really have to do is tweak. If you are hustling really hard and you're making slow progress, it means you're doing the wrong tasks. What if you were only allowed to achieve one thing in the next 12 months as the measure of your success? What would it be? You are 100% going to get nowhere if you don't move. So technically what you could say is not moving and not trying is already that failure position that you have said that you're afraid of. The only failure, they say, is not starting at all, not moving at all for fear that you won't get there, because you've already not got there if you haven't moved. How interesting is that? Working hard doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make any progress at all towards your goal. Not all of the shiny objects, not all of the exciting new things, not all of the distractions. This is what keeps you focused on your goal and provides you with the clarity and therefore the tasks to actually make it happen. Getting yourself as a guest on a podcast, you could instantaneously be distributed to a couple of hundreds of thousands of people by just appearing on a podcast for an hour of your time for free. No, this becomes a simple system that you follow. And when you see it like that, the stress can now calm down because all we've got to do is implement the system and follow our own processes. Imagine you're inside an actual tornado and there's stuff flying around your head in a giant vortex. You cannot focus on anything, pinpoint anything, look at anything, manage anything in that scenario. It's like you've gathered up all your squirrels that were running up every single tree and now you've got them all in one tree. It makes a huge psychological difference in then being able to go and tackle more the next steps, which is creating our systems. Now, the first thing I do every single morning is I go and find myself and I change the due date to any, and I also change the status to pending, meaning essentially by creating now this list of tasks from your current to-do lists that are everywhere, you're now creating a sense of organization and control. Perceived control equals less stress. When you have a sense of control over your business, you have more productivity, you have less overwhelm, less mental health issues, less sense of complete powerlessness, and more problem-solving capacity, more motivation, more productivity, therefore, which is what this is all about. We now need to understand that perhaps we don't have the right tasks on here. Perhaps we are actually doing that thing where we're working really busily on tasks that aren't important to make sure that we really are focusing on doing the right stuff that's going to move us towards our goals. If I want to achieve that $1 million a year, whatever it is you've set your goal at, these are the tasks that you need to be doing. Not would like to be doing, not would be fun and cute to do, that I actually need to do. The most amazing piece of advice that I got for leadership is when you write instructions, when you give instructions to team members, make them so that a 10-year-old could follow them. We want to set them up with nothing other than success as the possible outcome. And instructions are the simplest way to do that. Isn't that fantastic? Okay, so now we have gone through, organized all of our tasks that are everywhere and put them in one place. So for those of you who get distracted, who love following shiny things or struggle with the neurospicy reality of entrepreneurial life, this is life. The next thing that's critical for those of you who want more productivity in your business, who want to get more results, is to organize your time and defend it with your whole entire life. How many other people feel like there's just not enough hours in the day and constantly say to themselves, I've got no time? Your calendar should be protected sacredly. If your calendar becomes something that other people control, your life is out of control. You feel out of control, and that is when the psychological and mental decay begins to happen, because you literally have no control over your time. If other people can just demand when you give your time to them. If you have control over your time, you have control over your life. Block it, protect it with absolute sovereignty. What is your time worth? How much do you charge per hour? You should be charging at least $152 an hour for your time. If you're busy creating social media content, doing admin that you could be paying somebody else $10 an hour or so to do, you're already losing money. You're already losing $180 an hour. Anything that doesn't require your face to deliver it should be automated or delegated to somebody else. staff should always be in some way income generating. This is going to help you now start slowly removing all of those tasks on your to-do list. You don't want to give absolutely everything to one person, because if that one person is sick or that one person leaves or you have to fire that one person, you don't lose all of your operational ability. If you keep your sense of control high, so does your productivity, and therefore so do your results. The sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.